welcome to Main Street Matters by Heart on Main Street, the podcast that knows that if you can't be found, you will be lost. I am your host, Patrick Keiser. Today we have a very special episode, and my guest is Samantha Connor, the Director of Wholesale at the Boutique Hub. Samantha has really lived on all sides of the retail world. She has worked retail, she's worked as a sales rep, she's had her own children's clothing brand, and now works with the largest retailer network in the country through the Boutique Hub. She is passionate, creative, and honestly just a ball of energy that I love being around. If you want to watch this conversation, you can do so through our website, heartonmainstreet.org. There you can find all of our previous interviews, as well as register for upcoming webinars that we have. If you like any of the content that we've produced, I ask that you please consider making a donation to our organization through heartonmainstreet.org. Donations are given to independent retailers who have lost their stores due to natural disasters like floods, hurricanes, fires, tornadoes, to help them rebuild their store and remain a vital part of our community. Last month, we had a guest on Jansen 2 of Denim and Velvet who talked about photography skills, and through loading images onto your website, she had really just scratched the surface of SEO, or search engine optimization. It was really the perfect cue up for today's conversation. So while SEO is kind of a buzzword today, not every retailer is really taking advantage of it or utilizing it to the best of their ability, or heck, even really knows what it is. So Samantha's going to be talking to us today about 5 mistakes that retailers make when it comes to SEO and how to avoid those mistakes so that your store can be found, your website can be found, and that people can really come into your store and it helps drive foot traffic to your store. So without further ado, here's my conversation with Samantha Connor. Well, welcome, Samantha. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Patrick. I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, welcome back. Here last October, we were talking about Pink Friday, which is very exciting, and I'm sure we'll having it again this year. So we'll be sending out information about Pink Friday as we get closer to that.
Yes, yeah. It's so interesting. Google is responsible for 86% of all online sales. And then beyond that, if you don't even have an e-commerce site, then you're also looking to Google to help you drive that foot traffic to your store. So what I'm really wanting to impart to you guys today is that Google and working with Google is a strategic game. And so once we can kind of uncover what those rules are in the game, then you guys can win. And so that's what we're really going to be focusing on today is how can we win in the game of Google? So to kind of get started, I did want to take a little unofficial poll of the group and find out how many of you have a website. So if you could just drop in the chat, if you're brick and mortar only, or if you're e-com only, or if you're a mixture of both, I think that would be interesting. Seeing your answers, I see a lot of both.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Yeah. And that's key because I'm sure that you guys have heard this millions of times, but we've got to be omni-channel as we move into, 2025. What are all the avenues that we can use to pull traffic and to make sales in our store to be successful? We're going to look at 5 things that could be keeping you from being as successful as possible in the world of Google. And so I want to break those down for you and show you some things that you can do on your back end. And I will tell you this, you do not have to be a Google expert to do these things. A lot of them, I know, thank goodness. A lot of them are easy fixes. And I want to demystify that feeling of there's no way I could do SEO. That's got to be someone I'm going to have to pay $10,000 to come in and improve SEO on my website. That's not true at all. What we're seeing is a big shift in the industry of empowering retailers with the knowledge where they can do it themselves. And I love that because once you invest in knowledge in yourself, no one can ever take that away from you. That's one of the best investments you can make in your business. I told Patrick this earlier. I always have a lot to say, but I will take a breath in between slides and have him go through the chat and ask your questions. 5 SEO mistakes limiting your store's visibility on Google. So here is where we're going to get started is what are those things that we really want to focus on? There's a lot of things we could focus on. You guys know as retailers, there's so many different aspects of your business that sometimes it gets a little overwhelming. So what I want you to be able to do today is just kind of take a breath, just lean back, take it all in. But definitely try to identify 1 or 2 of these things that you could bring back and do in your store today or this week. And I think that makes it seem a little bit more manageable. And then you could just start attacking these things one by one by one, and you're really going to see an improvement in both your foot traffic and your online sales. So Patrick gave me a wonderful introduction. I have been with the Boutique Hub for 4 years. My background as far as the retail industry goes, grew up working in a retail children's apparel store all through college. After college, I got an education degree, and then I did start my own clothing line. I manufactured that in the U.S., sold that for a while, and then went on to be a sales rep at Dallas Market Center. And now I'm at the Boutique Hub. So I've seen kind of all sides of the industry, from manufacturing, design, production to sales, and then of course behind the counter and behind the cash wrap. So I hope that I can impart some of the things that I learned to you guys today. A brief overview, if you have not heard of the Boutique Hub before, we are an organization that has been around for 11 years, and we work really hard to connect retailers, wholesalers, and then industry experts. Heart on Main would be one of those examples. People that can provide solutions to you. One thing we say in the Boutique Hub all the time is we don't have all the answers, but we're pretty confident we can find the person that does and help you connect with them. And so we work every day to bring those answers, that networking and that community to our members via our Facebook groups. And then in person, we have a permanent showroom in Dallas and Atlanta, and we have booths at the Magic events. And then like Patrick mentioned, we will be hosting our annual conference called the Boutique Summit. And that will be in Dallas right before the apparel show. So June 8th and 9th. And we're excited to be hosting Heart on Main at that event. All right. So like I mentioned, I do talk to a lot of people about their businesses. And so I do that at market, and then I do that on Zoom calls. I actually set up one-on-ones all day, every day, and talk to independent retailers just like you about what they can be doing to solve the problems in their business. And the biggest, I'd say, issue right now that I'm hearing from people is I need more sales. And then when we start backing that up, we decide, what do you mean when you say you need more sales? And so a lot of times when I say I need more sales, what that really comes down to is they're either needing to increase the traffic, so foot traffic or eyes on their website. Maybe they've got people that are coming to the website, but they're not converting. Or maybe that they need that average order value to grow. They need to go up. So maybe, your average order value is $150. What if we get it to $200? What would that do to your business? And so, we look at this very pragmatically. What are the goals in your business? And then what are the tools that you need to reach those goals? And so we are very, very big in the Boutique Hub about educating yourself, empowering yourself to be successful to meet those goals. I did add a QR code here. If you would like to hop on one of those one-on-one calls with me later on, I'm happy to do that. We do website audits all the time and make suggestions on what resources would be most helpful to different independent retailers like yourself. So I did include that here. But we really go through a very systematic process of how do we correct SEO mistakes? And then how do we successfully reach all of your goals, whether it's average order value increase, more traffic, is it getting more eyeballs on your website? How can we help you reach your goals? And inside the Boutique Hub, we do a private training program called Boutique Hub Black. And this is the secret sauce. I'm sharing it with you today. It's called the Atomic Method. And it's a proven system for success with SEO and with winning in the game of Google. So we start very simply at the very beginning. Audit and optimize your website. And if you don't have a website, then what we're going to jump right to with you is the meta and Google configuration. And then we look at what is organic traffic and how can we increase it. And then a lot of people then move into paid ads and then scaling ad campaigns. So it's a 5-step process. Like I said, it's easier to do with someone helping you, but it's one of those things too that I am confident that all retailers can do this and be successful at it when they have the right tools. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into those 5 SEO mistakes and see what we can do about them. So number 1 is the traffic issue. And I'm going to quote one of my favorite movies, Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. This is not true for websites. They will not come if you build a website. You have to get them to come to your website. And so when we talk about SEO and with search engine optimization is how can we make your website very attractive and easy for search engines to find? And the search engine that we talk about the most often is Google. And I teased this a little bit in the beginning. The reason why we care so much about what Google thinks of our website is because Google's responsible for 86% of online sales. So Google's got the market share. So that's kind of the sandbox that we're playing in. That's the board game we're on. And we know that we can win if we understand Google's rules. And so what we want to do is we just got to break those down of what can we do to our website to make sure that Google isn't penalizing us or hiding us on one of those back pages. So what we look at with Google is your website optimized so that Google can easily find it? So a lot of times in your store, you probably do things that reduce friction, right? Like you want to make it easy when someone comes in your store. Is it easy for them to find the product they're looking for? Is the checkout process easy? Is it easy to make a purchase and make a return? We want to reduce friction. And that's the same way that we're looking at with our websites is if someone is hitting your website, is it easy for them to navigate? Is it easy for them to understand the product and all the things about it? And so when we audit a website, we're looking at 5 different factors for determining if Google trusts your website. And if Google trusts you and you are playing along those games, then you're going to find along Google's games, you're going to find yourself landing on that page 1 ranking without paying for it. And that's the key, because we all know that you can pay for that page 1 ranking. But what we want to do is we want to organically land on page 1. And if you're new to the world of SEO, organic isn't like what it means when we're talking about food, as far as being healthy. Organic traffic means that it's free. You're not paying for it. So it's not a paid ad. It's someone that is finding your site organically. So they were searching for something. Google caught that hook and dropped them on your website. And that's a beautiful thing because it doesn't cost you $1. All right, it's Patrick. I'm going to check in with you. How are we doing?
We are doing good. No questions or comments right now. So
okay. So if we want to build that fire that burns 24 hours a day, the very first thing that we need to do is we need to get on Google products. So I have a 15-year-old daughter, and she uses the phrase of don't sleep on, which means don't ignore, don't forget about. So I've got our cool lingo here for us because the rest of us are not 15. Don't sleep on Google products. And so what that means is, are you utilizing the Google world? Google is going to award you a higher page ranking if you are using Google products. And so the things that I would recommend for you, if you had to do 3 things on Google to make sure that you are showing up in the world of Google, is claim and optimize your Google business profile. And so I have a screenshot here of what your Google business profile looks like. This is just of a street address, but you would type in your store, and you'd want to make sure that your name of your store, the address, and the phone number for your store are all correct. I would also check for your store hours. Now, if you have a brick and mortar, you can see obviously how this would be super important, because if someone is Googling, a candle store near me, gift store near me, toy store near me, boutique near me, you would want Google to catch on to that and to make sure that you are associated with that near me and that location. If you are online, then this also can be used to your benefit, because you can use the location of where you are physically located, whether it's like your PO box or wherever that is, to kind of anchor that in. This is a big win for those of you that if you are on a main street or you're in a tourist town or someplace where you're a destination for shopping, this can be really helpful. But even if you're somewhere where you're like, I'm the only store out here, we still want to make sure that Google knows where you're located, because Google, if you have your Google business profile updated, you're using a Google product that makes Google happy. Google's going to make sure that you're rewarded by having you show up higher on those page rankings. And I talk a lot about page ranking because when someone goes to Google, it's different than if they're on Facebook. If you're on Facebook and, think about you as a consumer, you might be sitting in car line to, pick up your child, or you might be waiting, for a doctor, for your doctor's appointment. You're sitting in the waiting room and you're scrolling on Facebook, and Facebook will suggest different things for you to see. It just pops up. But if you use Google, you are searching for something in particular. You have a need, you're setting out and saying, this is what I want. And Google's job is to go find it. In the past, Google would suggest, whoever had the best answer, right, to whatever the question was. But Google now has moved to a business more mindset of, I want you to use Google products, and that's how you're going to show up. So using your Google business profile, making sure it's updated, is one of the ways that we can play along the Google game and play those rules. And so that's going to get us a higher page ranking. The next one is Google Shopping. And I don't know how many of you have used this before, but Google has a marketplace. If you're on Shopify, there is an easy integration where you can get your products to pop up there, and then that drives the customer back to your website for conversion. But that's another good option there. And then the third, and this one might surprise you guys, is post to YouTube. YouTube is owned by Google. And, when I put this up there, you may think immediately, well, I am not a video production person. I don't make YouTube videos. There's no way I would have anything for that. And my response would be, do you ever make reels? Do you post videos or product videos to Facebook or TikTok? Are you doing stories on Instagram? If you have any kind of short form video content that you are creating, and I'm guessing that some of you do, then you're going to want to post that to YouTube. And if you've not created a YouTube channel for your retail location yet, this would be a big takeaway, is to do that. And all of this goes back to Google's goal is to keep people on Google as long as possible. Just like when you get someone in your store, you don't want them to come in for 1 minute. You want them to stay in the store, for maybe 30 minutes, right? Like offer them a drink, a snack, get them to try something on. That's how Google feels about customers. Google wants them to stay on Google products because that's a better win for Google. So doing these small 3 things right here can help increase your local customers, that foot traffic. And then it's also going to increase your SEO, which is search engine optimization. How easy is it for Google to find you on the internet? And it builds up trust. Google wants to recommend really good businesses, and Google counts you in as a really good business if you use its products. All right. So now when we go back a little bit deeper into SEO, and these are all the kinds of things too, I wanted to point out to you guys that we cover in those website audits. And I would challenge you to get a website audit and to look at your SEO, I'd say once a month if you're not doing it right now. And also don't fall into the trap of paying someone $10,000 to fix your SEO, because I promise you, you are capable of looking at these things and doing them when you're partnered with the right tools. So your SEO is how you're showing up on a Google search. So if I opened up a new window right now and I typed in boutiques near me, there's several boutiques in my town. I live in the DFW area, so there's a lot of boutiques in the Dallas area. So there would be multiples that would show up. And so what I did is I grabbed right here as a snippet for you of what the boutique hubs SEO, what they look like on a search engine. And so there's a couple different things here that you guys can do today. If you have Shopify, you would go to your Shopify online store and then preferences, and that's where you can alter this. And I know there's similar for those of you that are either comment sold users or if you're on Square, but you're going to want to make sure that your title tag is between 50 and 60 characters, including spaces. And so the title tag is what's written in purple here. Remember when I said earlier, if you're on a main street or if you're in a tourist town, or you could add the name of the city and state to this area up here. And then the next thing you're going to look for is your meta description. And that's got to be between 120 and 160 characters, including spaces. This goes into that whole thing like we talked about. This is, Google's world. We're all just living in it. We're playing the Google game. These are some of the rules to the game. So if you've ever played, Monopoly with your dad, or you play cards, there's rules, and you got to play by the rules if you want to win. These are the rules in the game of Google. So we've got to follow these. If you don't, what happens? You lose your higher page ranking and you get pushed towards the bottom. And if you're saying, well, does it really matter if I'm on page 3 or page 4 of a Google search? I would ask you, when you Google something, how many pages do you go through to find your answer? I have to be honest, I don't usually make it off page 1.
Yeah, never.
So yeah, Patrick, how about you?
Never. Yeah, page 1 is where I look. So
right. Yeah. And even if there's those ads at the top, you maybe glance over those and then you scroll down, you're like, what are the real answers? So this is page 1. These are the rules for page 1. We want to get on page 1. So we're going to the title tag and the meta description. Why this matters is Google wants to send traffic to you. They're like, sure, you're on my Google product. I love you. I love to send traffic to you. How do I do it? I don't know what you sell. Well, this is how you're telling Google what you sell and what you do. So if somebody asks Google, hey, where's a boutique in, Grapevine, Texas, and I have Grapevine, Texas listed next to my boutique name, then that's going to give me a chance for Google to hook onto that information and send me traffic. But Google doesn't know unless we tell Google. So give Google the information that it needs so that it can really help you get on that page 1 ranking.
All Samantha, right. Real quick, a question came in kind of going back to the comment about YouTube.
Yes.
She says Susan says they do videos on Instagram, but can that be shared with YouTube? So I don't know if she's meaning directly from Instagram to YouTube or downloading it off of Instagram and posting it on YouTube. Any thoughts there?
Yes, yeah, for sure. What I would do is download that and I would upload it to YouTube. And so there's a little bit of, little extra legwork there, but it will be worth it because anytime you can get at least 5 uses out of content, you're winning. So if she's making that video on Instagram and then she's posting it to YouTube, adding a link from YouTube into an email with that product, adding it to Facebook, maybe using it in an ad, and then posting it in, another group, then she's really winning. So I would look for 4 to 5 ways to reuse that content. So if you're making it for Instagram, 100% download that and upload that to a YouTube channel. Awesome. And I would say to go to YouTube and look at some of their examples of retailers that have video channels and see what kind of content they're posting. Some of the things that I've seen working are like ideas on how to, decorate your Christmas tree if you're in, that space, gift ideas for kids, for my toy people. And then obviously if you're apparel, numerous things of, how to wear, how to style barrel jeans or whatever it is. Make yourself the expert there and share that on YouTube.
All right, 5 uses out of any video content. That's great. That's share it five different ways.
Yes. Yeah. All right. So once we, make Google aware of what we do, and we've done it along Google's rules, then the next thing that we want to do is we want to understand more of the traffic flow on our website. So when you really think about it, we're going to audit our website. It's optimized. We're like, okay, I feel good. The title tag looks good. The meta description is strong. Google understands what it is that I'm doing. But do I have a really good insight on the people that are coming to my website? And you guys remember I told you we've got to use Google's tools to make Google happy. And so one of Google's actually very, very best tools is Google Analytics. And if you have not gotten this installed on your website yet, it's a piece of code. Like I said, our team can help you guys do that. You can also, of course, Google how to install Google Analytics. But what it does is it's going to give you the very best reporting on who is coming to your website, how long they're staying, where are they coming from, what are they doing, and then even where are they dropping off. And so a lot of people will say, hey, when I downloaded Google Analytics and I got it installed, I saw that I had gobs and gobs of traffic, but they were only staying for a minute. Well, I would tell them if you see anything under 2 minutes of dwell time on your site, then it's probably spammy traffic. Like it's not the right customer coming, because if it's the right customer, they're going to spend at least 2 minutes. And sometimes we see that with when people are throwing their website out in a lot of places, or they're not really sure how to properly run ads. Basically, it's kind of like casting out a line and you've got the wrong bait on it. So you're getting kind of the fish that you didn't want. And we want to make sure that doesn't happen to you, because we want really quality leads and we want really good traffic landing on your website. And so having Google Analytics installed can give you a really good sneak peek on what that traffic is doing. Is it the right kind of traffic and where they're coming from? One of my favorite things to do with this, like I said, the Google Analytics tag is going to help you get more traffic because Google will love you because you're using a Google product. But the other thing too is you can see what keywords are performing the best, and you can use those in things like social media posts, your blog posts, and then in any copy that you write for ads. A lot of times when people first get into Google Analytics, they say, this feels like I'm drinking from a fire hose. And that is true. You guys all know data is only good if we know how to read the reports. And so what we like to do is go through and kind of help you guys set up those reports and understand what is the things that I really need to look at. If you're not working with a boutique hub and you say, I've got Google Analytics, what should I be looking at? Number one, look at dwell time. We want to know how long they're staying. They should be staying at least 2 minutes. And then number two, I would want you to look at users. your new users should be far outweighing by a 3-to-1 average your returning users. We love our repeat buyers. We love them coming back, but you guys know we always need to be getting more. And the power of you investing in your website is because you are trying to cast a really wide net. Maybe everybody in your town knows about you and you're the go-to place for that gift or for that outfit or for that, special toy. But do people all over the country know about you? And Google Analytics and using, your e-commerce site and having it properly optimized is going to really expand your customer base in ways you can't even imagine. Even looking at this, what would that do to your monthly sales if you get 19,000 new users to your website every month? I always tell people that, I'm like, let's just think about that for a minute. Let's just imagine.
People are like dreaming of that number, right? That's 19,000. Wow, that'd be
right. Yeah. And, something to think about that with too, Patrick, is, a really good website really has about a 2% conversion. Okay. So if you back that up, you're like, not 19,000 people are buying, 2% of those. So then how many people do I actually really need to hit my website? And we can pull a couple different levers. You can pull the lever of I get more people, but then also we could play the game of, or could I get the people that I have here or could I pull the people that are here to get them to buy more?
Actually buy.
And that's where having a really good optimized website helps. What are those add-on products? I know you guys do such a great job of that, of like, what are those margin builders, things I can add on? Because what if I even just took that 3.5, percent or 1,000 people that are coming and I could get them each to buy $20 more? That'd be a huge lift. All right, let's keep on clicking. Another mistake we'd say, don't make this. So we're not going to sleep on Google products. We're going to make sure we have our SEO, our meta tags and our title tags optimized. The other thing we really want to look at on here too is our backlinks. And I got really deep into this with a retailer the other day about what backlinks are. And talking to her, I was like, I think I now know the simplest way to say it is if you look at your website address, like your URL, it may say www, mine would be theboutiquehub.com, Patrick's heartonmain.com or .org. If you look at that, what Google is wanting to know is how many other places across the internet is that web address going to be found? And the reason why this is important, why do we want your website address basically like an Easter egg hidden all over the vastness of the internet? It's because Google's looking for trust and reliability in websites to recommend to shoppers. And so like we said, does Google trust you? Well, Google will trust you if you're using its products. Does Google value in you and rank you high? Yes, if you have the right description and Google understands what you're doing. This aspect of it is your website trusted by other reliable websites? And the easiest way for Google to determine if your website is trusted by others is to see where it appears. And one of the easiest ways to do, so if you haven't done this yet, is to get a Pinterest account for your retail location. If you have a Pinterest account, then you can go in and pin products from your website directly to your store board or your store collection on Pinterest. And when Google is scraping the internet and scraping your website and looking for different addresses and things to recommend, Google's going to see that Pinterest is recommending you. And that recommendation just comes from that pin that you have made on Pinterest. So I think that's so interesting. And the other thing is our millennials are using Pinterest like a search engine. So, when I think about like if I need to, know recipe or how do I XYZ, I would type it in on Google. But the millennial generation is going to Pinterest and asking Pinterest the questions that it used to ask Google. And so this is helpful to you because if you're a clothing store, someone that's in that millennial generation might go on over to Pinterest and type in, what do I wear to a summer Western concert? And then they're going to get a whole visual flood of all these different images of what they should wear, what they could wear. And a lot of those are actually pins from retailers like you that will lead back to their store. So consumer clicks on it. She likes that outfit. Yes, that'd be cute. I could wear that to a concert. She ends up on your website and starts browsing and shopping and adding to cart. This would also work for our toy stores, our home and gift, top presents to give, for a wedding, best consumer or best candles I mean, you guys can just go crazy with it, but we also see, those millennials using Pinterest. So they're going to Pinterest and asking outfits, product suggestions, gift ideas, decor ideas. This is also where you can win if you're in home and gift and have some beautifully merchandised pieces and photos on your website. You can link back to those. And then I've listed other ones as well. The other one that I really want to call out is schools. Any website that ends in an edu, so that would be any educational website. So that could be, college, university, even your local elementary schools, middle schools, high schools. Those get a very high ranking with Google. Those are very trustworthy sites. And so if you can get your address, your backlink on that school site, that is huge. And I point that out because I bet a lot of you are donating to your school PTAs or fundraisers, or people are asking you for donations and you're making them. If you are donating, my ask in return from them, it's a give get. Can you please list my website on your website as a partner or as a supporter, or however they want to list that? But having your URL on anything that ends in an edu is going to give you a huge boost on that page ranking. And Patrick, you mentioned we had a Chamber of Commerce, I think, on this site or on the call today.
There was a downtown business or association, but it seemed like there was a couple people liked that. So there might be Chamber of Commerce's or other community organizations as well. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So those would be great. So if you're representing one of those, make sure that you are putting anybody that's a member of your organization on your website. And that also, if I was a Chamber of Commerce or if I was a community organization like that, I would really be talking this up to them of, this is one of the benefits of your membership, is we will list you on our website. This will increase your page ranking and help you find more buyers. And so that's something that they could use as well. So it's definitely a good one. And then, we were talking about Pink Friday earlier. If you've participated in Pink Friday in the past, or are going to join this year, we do create a map of the whole United States and all the retailers that we work with, and having your retail location listed on our Pink Friday map, which is hosted on Shop the Best Boutiques. That's also going to help. And these are all things that you can do. None of these cost any money. I mean, obviously donating to the school might be some product there, but those are really good partnerships. And these are things that you guys are probably already doing. So make sure that you're really getting those backlinks on there, and that will help because it will make your ranking go higher. Google trusts you more, and hopefully bring you more organic traffic.
Like having a trusted friend say like, oh, this is a good place, and recommending you.
Yes. Yeah, that really is. I kind of personify Google because I'm like, we keep talking about it. I'm like, to me, it's like this really nice, nerdy guy. He's got really big, thick glasses, and he's like being asked all these questions all the time. I mean, can you imagine being Google?
He knows everything. Yeah.
How many times people are asking him something? Trying his best to keep up and provide the best answers. So he's had to develop a system, right? Of like, which is the algorithm. How am I going to decide who I suggest? And so once we figure that out, it's helpful to know it because then we can make it easier. So going back to Mr. Google, something else that he likes is a really smooth experience. And so this is something that we talk about a lot that happens with a website is as you guys are building out your website and you're adding these videos and you're adding photos and all these great product descriptions, your website can get a little heavy and it can start to download slowly. And slowly, if you've ever hit a website that loaded slowly, you know what happened. You bounced right off. So if you're on a site and you're waiting for the photo to load and it's coming, line by line, feels like it's ticking, pixeling through, you get frustrated and you just go to another site. And so Google really is looking for, how can I really recommend the very top businesses, the top websites. If you have a page that loads too slowly, you're not going to get on that page one ranking. And so for those of you that are on Shopify, there is an app, which is this yellow square with a blue lightning bolt. It's called the Flash app, and you can download this, and this will increase your load speed. And so like we said, Google favors the quick. And so you guys can imagine that too. That'd be like if someone, walked up to your brick and mortar and pulled on the door and it was locked. And they're like, I can't get in. They would just leave. They wouldn't just keep standing there. And so it's the same way they feel like that with your website. If it's loading slow, it's a feeling of I can't get in, I can't see what's there, and they bounce, and we don't want them to bounce off. All right. Okay, now we've got to talk about social media. So we've been very deep into the Googleverse. Now we've got to talk a little bit about the metaverse, which is all the meta products. So if you're using Instagram or using Facebook, that's a whole nother opportunity for us to get organic traffic. And we haven't even talked about paid traffic, but this is organic. What are all the free things we can do to get eyes and viewers and buyers on our site? And we were really heavy with Google. What can we do to make sure Google loves us? We also want to look at how can we have an advantage with Meta and with Facebook as well. And so that's going to come down to a pixel. And I know we've used a lot of like crazy words today. We're talking about SEO and we're talking about, backlinks and all these things. Here's another new word, to add to our vocabulary, which is pixel. And when I was first learning about all this, I was like, well, where is the pixel? Can I see it? Can I hold it? Can I touch it? It's in the cloud. And what the pixel really is all of the data that you want to collect, that Facebook's going to want to collect, of who, when you decide to run an ad, can I show it to? So you could almost think of your pixel as this big list of contacts. And the reason why this is important is when we think about going back to your website, all the different people that are hitting your website, how are you capturing those leads and that data, those email addresses, the name of the customer, all those things, so that you can follow up with them on a sale later. And if your website, you're kind of viewing your website as this amazing sales rep, right? Somebody that's working for you around the clock, never takes a break, they never take vacation, they don't even go to sleep or eat, they're working around the clock. And what their job is, your website's job is to either make a sale or to capture data that you can use later to make a sale. In our team, we outline there's 10 reasons why people don't buy, and only one of them is because they don't want the product. It could be other things of, timing wasn't right, their kid ran in and distracted them, maybe their phone crashed, their website, a pop-up banner on something else open and they got, their attention was moved somewhere else. So if you think about your website, maybe it can convert that first time, but if not, that's okay. As long as we have the customer's email address and data so we can retarget them and come back to them later. So your Facebook pixel is a piece of code that you would have embedded on your website. And what it does is, if you've ever been to a website and it says, this site uses cookies, will you authorize them or decline them? When they say, sure, I'd love a cookie, I authorize that, then the website's going to grab their data and their information. We want that data information stored inside of our Facebook pixel for your business, because down the road, maybe it's not today, maybe it's not even in 2025, when you're ready to start running paid ads, you want to run ads to all those people that dropped by your website and took a peek, and you want to make sure that your ad is showing up in front of them. And so your Facebook pixel is the number one way to do that. That is like your ultimate contact list. And you are going to be banking contact information to use when you are ready to start running Facebook ads. And so it's really important to grab that. It's just, I would say, essential. The number one thing, even if right now you're just doing pop-ups, you don't have a brick and mortar, maybe you're just starting with your website, grabbing those email addresses, because you can load those into your Facebook pixel later, and then making sure that pixel is located on your website so that we're grabbing all that information. So that was a big one. That's a big one.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, you got to get that email address, that contact information. Those are things that you can own.
Yes. And, that's a really good point when you say you can own, because that brings up the point of whose customer is it at the end of the day, right? Is it Google's customer? If your customer, you only interact with them on Facebook, it's Facebook's customer. These are your leads, your contacts. So you want to make sure you're building that relationship. And so, Patrick, you've probably seen too, on websites, it'll pop up and say, hey, would you like 10% off? Put your email address in here. Make sure you're giving those carrots to your customers, because what you just said, it's your customer. That customer does not belong to Meta, and they do not belong to Google. You are building the relationship. So make sure that you have a stake in it as well. And then for that trust factor, which is the first one here, is link socials on your website. Make sure when you go to your website, it's very easy to see. Yes, you're on Facebook. Yes, you're on Instagram, YouTube, whatever those big social areas are. If you're on TikTok, or I always say Twitter, but now it's X, make sure that's on there as well too, because that gives people social proof. A lot of times, when I'll go look at a website, I'm like, is this a legit website, right? Like, you're looking, should I trust them when I give them my credit card? And when I can see they have socials and I can click through the socials and see them, a picture of their store, of them interacting with customers, all those things help build trust and credibility with the customer. And then Google, since Google doesn't know you personally, Google can look for those things and say, yes, okay, obviously this is a legit business. I'm going to go ahead and recommend them. All right, so that's the whole social thing there. This is one of my favorite quotes that I say all the time, is goals are for about people who care about winning once, and systems are for people who care about winning repeatedly. And that's what this whole thing is. When we look at SEO, it's creating a system for success. So we're not just doing one thing and then, set it and forget it and leave it. It's just like your house or your business or relationships. It takes constant maintenance because things too are always changing. And so, like I said, align yourself with resources like Heart on Main, with the Boutique Hub, with Dallas Market Center, places where you can continue to get this online or this continuing education and creating that system for being successful. So up until now, everything we've talked about is really organic. So like I said, it was free. Look at all these great free things we can do. But then we know that there is an element of paid. And we are really, I'd say, adamant in the Boutique Hub of making sure your business is set up correctly, your website's set up correctly. If your business was a bucket, making sure there's no holes in it before we even touch the paid ads thing. I would tell you if someone comes to you and is like, well, you're not successful. The reason why you just need to put some paid ads out there. That would raise a major red flag for me because paid ads are not the entire thing. They're the cherry on top. So once you've got everything set up, that last piece is the paid ads. And I wouldn't touch that until I really had my organic traffic and that whole system built out, partnership with Google, basically grabbing those email addresses, all those nice, things set up, that foundation. And then I would put on this paid piece. And paid traffic is an essential at some point with your business. There's just so much noise and shiny, sparkly things out in the world today that we have to pay a little bit of money to be seen. It's not our whole strategy, but it is a piece of the strategy. And when we say we're in the business of time and attention, whether you're selling candles or you're selling little girls' dresses or you're selling shoes, at the end of the day, you're really trying to capture a customer's time and attention. And that's why even with all of organic traffic, that final piece that's really going to help you scale is going to be that paid ads component. And so when we look at this, I wanted to make this a don't make this mistake to go along with the rest of our theme of ads don't work for my store, because I have heard people say that. And what I would say is I'm going to make a case against that statement. Paid ads do work for your store. It can work for your foot traffic, and then it can also work for your online store. If they're not working for your store, you say you've tried them before. My questions would be, did you set up the whole organic system before, right? Like, is the website optimized? Is it prioritized by Google, or you showed up those good page rankings? Do you have any big holes in your bucket? Because if you have holes in your business bucket and you dump paid traffic in, all that paid traffic is just going to run out and end up on the floor. So if we want them to stick and stay in the bucket and really convert, we've got to make sure that whole thing is set up. But if you're, telling me I've done all those things, now I'm ready, then what I would say is, partner with someone that can help show you how to run paid ads. Because like I said, it can put you on the map. It can get you the qualified, ready to shop traffic, because that's what we know too, right? We talked about, casting a line with the wrong kind of bait and you got back a weird fish that you didn't even want to eat. We want to make sure you're catching the right kind of fish. And then also scaling strategically, but not sporadically, right? Like, it doesn't really help us if we just have 1 month of like crazy blowout sales and it cleared all of our inventory out, and then the rest of the months, nothing's happening. And then the final thing too is a budget. A question I get asked often is people say, how much money do you need to spend on paid ads? And the strategy we teach inside the Boutique Hub is it's a $10 a day start. So you set up a couple different ad campaigns, you give them each $10. And then it's kind of like a horse race. You set them out and see which one is going to take the lead. The big thing about ads is there is no one best kind of ad to run. You have to constantly be testing, evaluating, and experimenting. But once you understand kind of the basics, right, of like, is it a carousel ad, which just means, is it multiple photos? Is it a video ad, like a fit video? It's just a little short, maybe 3-minute video or less. Does that work for your store? Does your customer like to see a flat lay? And it really depends, so it's very much a fishing game. But once you figure out which one it works for you, then you can continue to refine it. All right, so this is the inside. I just wanted to show you guys this because if you are running ads or if you've run ads in the past, this is the column I want you to look at. So if you are paying someone right now to run your ads or you're in this world, return on ad spend, you should be getting at least a 3-to-1 return on your ad spend. This is one of the customers we work with. Of course, I'm going to show you my highlight reel, but you want at least a 3-to-1 return, because a 1-to-1 return wouldn't even cover your cost of goods. You guys are having to buy goods to sell online and run ads too. So you want at least a 3-to-1. That would be my threshold. And I would say this is an amazing, this was a viral product. You're really looking for an average of about a 9 to 10 return on ad spend. And this is why I was talking about filling your meta pixel, right? Getting that pixel full of customers to show the ad to. Because it's one thing to set up these amazing ads, but whose eyeballs are they going to land on? And we want to make sure they are landing on the right kind. And, I have this up here because I did ask somebody the other day. I was like, what's your social media presence like? What are you guys doing online? And they're like, well, we get a lot of likes, and likes don't pay bills. Likes don't pay for ballet lessons. Likes don't pay for college, but things that do pay is that return on ad spend. And so there's a really great strategy for doing that. And I know that we're kind of getting towards our end of our time, but I didn't want you to get off of this without knowing a little bit more about what you should be looking for when you're running ads. And I would say these are the top 3, and these are things that you can be doing on your website too. So your website needs to have really great product photos. If you are using right now stock images, I would really challenge you to, as new product is coming in the next couple months, start taking your own photos. That's what really stops the scroll for people. They want to see it on real bodies. They want to know that it's not photoshopped. If it's a gift or a home product, they want to see it merchandised. And so all of this will improve not only your website, but then as you're building out those ads. Another one is descriptions, right? Like tell the story, make her feel it. I used her as our customer, but whoever that is that's shopping with you, make them feel it. And this applies to website and then your ads. And then finally, if you had to have something that I would want you to have in place before you start running ads, it would be an engaged social community. So we cannot just sell products all the time. We've got to have a community behind it. It's an 80-20 balance.
And if you are not, comfortable taking photos, I'm going to put out a shameless plug for the webinar that we did last month, which was about in-store photography, and Jan's into talking about how to take great photos with your cell phone. You can find that on our website, heartonmainstreet.org. So
I love that. And I love that she uses her cell phone.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes that's like a kind of like the mountain that people say, I can't cross it, right? Like I don't have a good camera.
You're not going to buy the $1,000 camera, right?
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yeah. But
amazing conversation too. So
yes. Yeah. It's an amazing one. All of these things to say, these are 3 things that apply, like I said, to your ads. It applies to your website. Is to really showing up authentically. And like I said, if someone comes to you and says, oh, the thing that's wrong with your business is you're not running ads, we know, right? You would say, well, I got to fix my bucket first, because ads are a mic. They're not a magic wand. So whatever you've got out there, it's just going to amplify that. So let's say on your website, you had a lot of stock photos, the descriptions weren't great, not everything was built out. All the ad is going to do is just yell that out to the world. And we don't want to do that until we've got everything fixed. All right. So, like I said, if I want to tell you anything, you're the key to your success. Keep showing up to webinars like this with Heart on Main, talking to people when you go to markets, reaching out to your sales reps. You've got the success, like the key to it, in your hand. And if you're not quite sure what to do with it or what door to unlock with it, lean on your network and let them help you with that. This was the program that I talked about a lot with you guys, that one-on-one coaching. If you're at that level where you're like, yes, I want to sit down and have someone help me do that. We offer that inside the Boutique Hub. If you are at the point where you're like, I'm just starting out, what are some things I could do? Definitely download these slides at the end and just start working on those things, one by one and marking them off. I know a lot of people that are in the retail space. Some of you are working other jobs as well. I know we talk to teachers, nurses, lawyers, people of all different walks of life all the time that are balancing many different things. And I'd say just start where you are and build from that. And, you can get to where it is that you want to go. So this is where you can download the slides. So grab this and then you can review these later and start, implementing some of these things. And then, like I said, keep showing up for more education, because that's the one thing that no one can take away from you.
All right,
All
so
right.
we've had a couple questions come in.
Okay.
So while we leave this up, Jen asked, what about ads that are branded? Ads that have the same look and feel. I have some board that think this is required, while others like variety.
Yes, yeah. The biggest thing about ads, like we said, was that there's no perfect kind. And so what I would say with a branded ad is that I would want to test it against another one. So I, use a lot of analogies. I think about like a horse race. So I would get 3 ads kind of in the race. So I would try one that's branded. So it's very clear. They can see that it's from, your store, very recognizable. An example of that, I think is Pretty Simple Wholesale. Her ads use the same models, the same feel, the same backdrop. You can tell the brand right when you see it. So you could try one of those and then run it against something that is showing the product in a beautiful way, but is not easily recognizable as coming from your store, and see which one does better. And whichever one performs the best, then I would cut the other one and double down. So maybe I'm giving each of them $10. The one that wasn't working, I would take that $10 away from that ad, cut it, and feed the other one $20 a day in ad spend and see how much I could scale it.
And then Christy asked, and we've talked about Pink Friday a couple times.
Yes, yeah.
So more information about Pink Friday.
Yes, yeah. So you can go once again, I'm going to send you to Google. If you go to Google or the Boutique Hub and go to events, there is an event called Pink Friday. The Boutique Hub started Pink Friday during the pandemic. And the purpose of it was to drive shoppers to small businesses during the holiday season. And Pink Friday lands on the Friday before Black Friday. And the reason why is what we found out is, you got all these big sales, and then Black Friday came and all the big box stores, were slashing and discounting TVs and electronics and, the just crazy sales. And then, it comes right after Black Friday with Small Business Saturday. And we had a lot of our retail partners say, by the time they get to Small Business Saturday, they don't have any money left. So we created Pink Friday, which is the Friday before Black Friday. And it's free to sign up for. You get located on our map. So that's great for your backlink strategy. And then also we give you an entire planning kit for hosting Pink Friday events in your store. And the product doesn't have to be pink. You don't have to be a pink store. Really what the idea is creating in-store events or events on your website that are going to attract buyers to you. And the people that are really successful at that too will partner either with other stores or businesses in their area. If you're a chamber of commerce or like some of the other networks that we talked about that are on this call, this would be a great opportunity for you guys to, get together and do business together to drive awareness to shopping small first.
Yeah, love it. And yeah, it's really exploded over the last several years of really getting a lot of stores involved in this. And I love the idea of having communities do a whole event together and do something all centered around and again, coming before Black Friday and Small Business Saturday, getting those people are shopping then, right? So
Yes.
encouraging them to shop at their local businesses.
Yes, yeah. And so we'll provide you with the whole kit. And we always say start small. If you're like, oh my gosh, I couldn't possibly put together an event, with 20 different businesses. Don't do that. Just maybe like you by yourself or maybe you and one other and see what you can do this year and then keep adding on to it. But you guys know this just as well as that consumers are looking for events to go to, right? They want something special, they want something curated. This to me is our case against why Amazon will never beat the small business, because you guys have heart, right? It's heart on Main. You've got that personality. People know when they're shopping small, they're supporting somebody's dream. And so it's really a day to kind of tell your story, why you created your store, and bring that awareness to where you're located and to get people encouraged to come shop with you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I haven't seen if you guys have questions, you have comments, anything come in, please toss in the chat. Samantha, I know we mentioned a couple times, but Boutique Hub, you want to talk just a little bit where people can go to find Boutique Hub and what resources that you all provide?
Yes, yeah. Well, I'm going to go ahead and segue into summer school. Yes.
Perfect.
So, yes, if you are like me and an education junkie, then here's another free opportunity to add to your repertoire. I'm like, this will build off of some of the things that, we've talked about today on this call and the other things that you've learned by coming to the Heart on Main webinars. So the Boutique Hub hosts this event twice a year. In January, it's called Best Year Yet. And then in June, it's called Summer School. This is free for anyone that wants to attend. attend. It's the 3rd through the 5th at 10 a.m. If you do sign up for it and are not able to go, we will send out the recording. So if that's kind of one of those times you're like, that's hard for me to get on, don't worry about it. We're going to be talking about all the things you need to get ready for to be successful in Q4. So they will be touching on Pink Friday. And then also they're going to be jumping really deep diving into that in-store experience, training your staff, making sure your bucket doesn't have holes in it. And then that cherry on top, talking about more when it comes to marketing and really getting seen by customers. And so this would be a great way to give you a taste of the Boutique Hub. Like Patrick said, we've been around for 11 years. We are a trusted resource in the retail community. We provide education, live coaching, and a really great community, a place to ask questions and get answers.
Yeah. Love the community aspect that you all have developed. It's just, it really is amazing. They're asking questions, hearing from people all across the country. Here's what I'm doing. And here's, being able to answer those questions for you.
Yes. Yeah. It always surprises me. So we've got our community, like we said, lives on Facebook, and someone, I saw this morning went in and said, what's a bestseller, a margin builder that you've got in your store right now? And, sometimes when you ask another store, like what brands do well for them and what products, they really want to hold that information tight and not share. But for some reason inside this community that we built, it's a safe space. And literally, I'd say within 5 minutes, there was 50 comments. A lot of them included links, SKUs, like exactly where you could go to buy this product. Yeah. So business is hard to do alone. So it's nice to do it together.
Question came in from Angela about, do blog posts do anything for SEO? I frequently get emails of people offering to write for our site and wanting to share articles. Is there any value to doing that?
Yes, I do. Well, I would say for you to write them. I wouldn't go ahead and do. The reason why they're asking if they can write them is because they're trying to get their backlink on your website. Because they're trying to win. So, and I'm assuming this is Angela. This might be Angela from Roadrunners or maybe a different Angela. But what they're looking at is they've identified your website as being, super valuable and trusted. And so that person is trying to get, hi, Angela, is trying to get their link on your website. What I would do is get someone inside of your team to write a blog once a month and to look at those keywords on GA4. So with Angela's in Home and Gift, they're with Roadrunner Showroom. So with that, I would look at like top 10, products to give for Christmas presents, or like things like that people are Googling, like those really searched ones, and put a blog post out about once a month and then share that. That's content. So share it 5 times, 5 different ways, and get that out. And that will definitely increase SEO. For the Boutique Hub, our number one traffic source would be some of those blogs, and they're usually topics of like how to buy wholesale, how to start a boutique, those things that you're like, who's Googling this, who's asking these questions, and they're coming there for that answer. So for you guys, it could be where to buy wholesale gift products, people wanting trends for home and gift products. I think about consumables, all of those things, and getting those on your website. But yeah, for sure, that's a great source of SEO. You don't need someone else to write it because they don't get to have your backlink juice just from sending you an email.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great question.
Yes. Yeah, that was great.
Samantha, first off, thank you so much for being on today. This was incredibly valuable. I'm kind of running through our website in my head and like, what changes can we make? How can we drive more business there? I'm sure everyone else is as well. So thank you very much for being on today.
Yes, I enjoyed it.
A quick plug for our next webinar, which is going to be on July 23rd. So we are skipping June. There's a lot going on, Boutique Summit and trade shows and so much going on. So we will not be having one in June, but July, we're going to be having a retail panel about what to do after a natural disaster. It's something kind of near and dear to Heart on Main Street's heart, as we have been helping retailers recover and rebuild after natural disasters. And so we're having 3 retailers that have gone through this process. And what have they learned? What have they done? What would they do differently if it were, knock on wood, never to happen again? But if it were to happen again, what have they learned throughout that process? So I know many people think it might not happen to them, but hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, wildfires really can happen anywhere within the country. So you can register for that through heartonmainstreet.org. And again, thank you all very much for being on today. And thank you, Samantha, for all of the wealth of knowledge that you provided.
Yes, yeah. Well, I will see you at Summit.
All right, see you at Summit. Exactly. I'm so excited. All right, take care, everybody. Thank you. Thank you all so much for listening. If you'd like to reach out to Heart on Main Street for any reason, you can always email us at contact@heartonmainstreet.org. This episode was written, produced, researched, and edited by me, Patrick Keiser, with a very special thanks to Samantha Connor of the Boutique Hub. For more information about Heart on Main Street or to register for any upcoming webinars, you can visit www.heartonmainstreet.org. Until next week, stay safe, shop local, and keep your heart on Main Street. Thanks. Bye.